Saudi Arabia is embarking on a monumental project that seems straight out of a science fiction film, a futuristic city designed as a linear metropolis. This city, known as the Line, is planned to stretch 170 kilometers in length, stand 500 meters tall, which is taller than the Eiffel Tower, and be only 200 meters wide. Its exterior will be adorned with massive mirror panels. The city will be filled with greenery and advanced technologies, and some estimates suggest the total cost could reach up to $1 trillion. Saudi Arabia claims the city could be ready by 2045. But is this really possible? What are the benefits and disadvantages of this design? And what impact will such a mega project have on the rest of the world? Let's dive in and explore these questions in this video. Whenever Saudi Arabia is mentioned, two things come to mind: deserts and oil. Although it's true that much of the country is surrounded by deserts and has a typical desert climate, with temperatures reaching up to 45 degrees C during the day and dropping significantly at night, Saudi Arabia is geographically diverse. You'll find savannas, mountains, and even volcanic fields here. In fact, there are more than 2,000 dormant volcanoes in Saudi Arabia, with some still active. Economically, Saudi Arabia is the largest economy in the Middle East and ranks 18th globally. However, this economy is heavily dependent on oil. Saudi Arabia is the world's largest exporter of petroleum, and the country is now eager to diversify its economy as the world seeks to reduce its reliance on oil. This is similar to other countries in the region, like the United Arab Emirates, which has worked hard to establish itself as a major tourism hub, particularly in Dubai. To achieve this, Saudi Arabia introduced its ambitious plan, Saudi Vision 2030, aimed at developing the country in areas like health, education, infrastructure, tourism, and non-oil exports. A key component of this Vision 2030 plan is the construction of the NEOM Smart City. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman has dedicated significant resources to the development of NEOM, which is not just a single city, but an entire region. NEOM will encompass multiple cities, resorts, and other developments across a 26,500 square kilometers area in the northwestern part of Saudi Arabia, north of the Red Sea. To put that into perspective, this area is roughly half the size of the American state of West Virginia. There are geographical reasons for choosing this location. The climate here is relatively moderate compared to the extreme heat found deeper in the desert. Plus, being near the Red Sea offers strategic advantages. The name NEOM is itself quite interesting. It's a combination of neo, meaning new in Greek, and M, which represents both the crown prince's name, Mohammed, and the Arabic word mustaqbal, meaning future. Essentially, they want to create an ideal city that represents a new future. According to the developers, NEOM will consist of 10 different projects or regions, 4 of which have already been announced. The first is Oxagon, an octagon-shaped floating port intended to be a next-generation industrial center. The second is Trojana, the Arabian Peninsula's first major outdoor skiing destination, slated to open by 2026. In fact, this area has already secured the bid to host the Asian Winter Games in 2029. Trojana is located in one of Saudi Arabia's highest mountain ranges, where temperatures can drop to 0 degrees Celsius in winter, although most of the snow will be man-made. The third region is Sin Dala, a luxury resort complex on the coast. This 840,000 Empatu luxury island will host up to 2,400 people and is expected to be the first part of the NEOM project open to the public, with an opening date in 2024. Finally, the most ambitious project of all, the Line. This was announced on January 10, 2021, and initially, many doubted whether it would ever be built, thinking it might be just a fanciful idea. But as of 2024, construction has already begun, despite concerns about whether the necessary technologies are available. The most striking feature of this project is its design. A 170-kilometer-long city situated between two 500-meter-tall skyscrapers. These linear buildings, placed parallel to each other, will have mirrored exteriors. The concept behind this is not entirely new. Similar ideas have been proposed since the 1800s and mid-1900s. However, no one has ever had the resources or the financial backing to bring such a concept to life. The Line is a modern example of the park arcology concept from the 1960s, which combines architecture and ecology to build densely populated cities with minimal environmental impact. The line aims to embody this concept by reducing the footprint on the surrounding landscape. For example, this 170 kilometers x 200 meters city will occupy just 34 square kilometers, yet it is designed to house 9 million people, the population of New York City, within an area 1/20th the size of New York. To achieve this, the city will be built in multiple vertical layers, enabling movement in 3 dimensions: up, down, and sideways. This new approach has been dubbed zero-gravity urbanism. The developers also claim that NEOM will be powered entirely by renewable energy sources like solar, wind, and hydrogen. There will be no roads or cars in the line. Instead, the city will feature pedestrian spaces, parks, and green areas. High-speed transportation will connect the entire length of the city, and everything will be within a 5-minute walking distance from any point. Moreover, the line's location near the Red Sea presents significant trading opportunities, as 13% of the world's trade passes through the nearby Suez Canal. A Neom Bay airport is also planned, strategically located so that 40% of the world's population will be just a 6-hour flight away, given Saudi Arabia's central position at the crossroads of Europe, Asia, and Africa. Artificial intelligence, AI, will be seamlessly integrated into life in the line, both personally and commercially. Systems will gather data, analyze it, and cater to individual needs, potentially leading to a dystopian environment where everyone is constantly monitored. However, despite the grand vision, there are significant challenges to overcome. First, and perhaps the biggest challenge, is funding. The project is being financed by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, PIF, a government-controlled sovereign wealth fund. While the fund is substantial, with an estimated value of around $620 billion, it is heavily tied to the Saudi economy, which is still largely dependent on oil. This makes the fund vulnerable to fluctuations in oil prices. For example, in 2020, Riyadh experienced a fiscal deficit of $79 billion, and in 2021, only 9% of Saudi exports were non-oil related. Even if the entire $620 billion in the PF were allocated to NEOM, it would likely still fall short. The original estimate for completing NEOM by 2030 was $500 billion, but as of 2024, it's clear that the project won't be finished until 2050 at the earliest, causing costs to escalate. Some estimates suggest the total cost could balloon to $1 trillion. To cover this, Saudi Arabia will need to attract foreign investment, but so far, they have had limited success, with only some discussions with foreign companies. The second challenge is technology. Many of the technologies required to make the line a reality do not yet exist or are still in their infancy. For instance, the developers claim that a high-speed transportation system will allow travel from one end of the city to the other in just 20 minutes, implying speeds of over 500 kilometers per hour. Currently, the fastest train in the world is the Shanghai Maglev, which tops out at around 430 kilometers per hour. Although a Japanese maglev train reached 603 kilometers per hour in a 2015 test run, no regular service operates at these speeds yet. Additionally, no one has ever constructed 500-meter-high mirrors, let alone ones that stretch for 170 kilometers. While theoretically possible, the practical challenges are immense. The purpose of these mirrors also remains unclear. So far, they seem to be primarily for aesthetics, making the project look futuristic and beautiful, but their practical utility hasn't been fully explained. Third, environmental concerns remain significant. Despite claims that the line will have minimal impact on the environment, questions arise about how the mirrors might affect wildlife, particularly migratory birds, and how the continuous structure might disrupt land animals' movement. Moreover, building such massive structures with low-carbon materials is nearly impossible. According to Professor Philip Oldfield of UNSW, constructing the line could release around 1.8 billion tons of carbon dioxide, equivalent to the UK's carbon emissions over 4 years. In October 2022, NEOM faced criticism for winning the bid to host the 2029 Asian Winter Games, given that Saudi Arabia lacks natural winter sports venues. The environmental impact of creating an artificial winter environment in the desert raises further concerns. Fourth, architectural inefficiencies could arise. While the linear design saves space, it also creates potential inefficiencies, particularly in the transportation system. With only one main transportation route for the entire city, any issue along the 170-kilometer line could cause significant delays, making this a single point of failure that could be very dangerous for such a design. Finally, the human factor cannot be overlooked. Even if all the other challenges are overcome, the question remains, will people actually want to live in the line? Living in a city where you are cut off from the outside environment, surrounded by mirrors and constantly monitored, could feel more like a dystopian nightmare than a dream city.